Welcome to the Lovestead.
Hi, welcome back to Lady Lovestead Reads. My name is Jessica, and this is my January 2025 reading vlog. If you're new here, I do read commonly books that fall into one of two categories. The first is dark, twisted, often depraved books. The other is cozy, light, and whimsical. Because I do read some dark and twisted books, please do check your trigger warnings before reading any of the books that I mention in this video. I don't share triggers because I do think they're spoilery, but I recommend utilizing Storygraph to look up triggers for books if you have concerns. Today is January 1st, 2025. Happy New Year! New Year is my favorite holiday. I love that it's like a fresh start, and I really like it because it's like non-denominational. It's something everyone around the world can celebrate, and it's just like a day to celebrate, like, yeah, we made it. We're still here. We're still alive. Let's celebrate that and go into the next year with joy. And it's my favorite holiday for all of those reasons. So I hope you had a really wonderful New Year's Eve and are having a great New Year's Day. I posted last week my goals for 2025 if you're interested in knowing what my goals are for reading specifically. I don't really have any goals for my channel other than to post regularly. And then I do have some personal goals, which I'll probably share on the Discord. So I do have a Discord called the Lovestead. It's farmhouse themed, cottage themed. The link is down below if you want to join. We talk about books, we talk about gardens, we talk about cooking. We share our goals with each other. Let's talk about what I am reading today. If you're new here, I do rotate every other day between a book that's over 500 pages and a book that's under 500 pages. And in the months of January, February, and March, I'm doing a read-along of the Legendborn cycle. Me and my friend Jasper at Instagram, she is Coffee and Crack Spines, are hosting a read-along of the Legendborn cycle. And here in January, we're reading Legendborn. This is just under 500 pages, but I'm counting it as the big book. It's actually a reread for me, so it will check off my goal to reread a book every month. And I'm really excited to get back into this world, and I'm going to annotate as I go along. So this is about Bree. Bree gets enrolled at a university in North Carolina through an early admittance program. And once she's there, she discovers a secret society that's based on Arthurian legends. And she discovers that she herself has powers, and it's an adventure, and it's wonderful, and I absolutely loved reading it the first time. We are doing this reread in preparation for the third book coming out in March, which is Oathbound. So this month we're reading Legendborn. In February we'll be reading Bloodmarked, and then in March we'll read Oathbound. So this is what I will be reading today. At least physically. I am going to commit this year to reading 100 pages a day with my eyes because my mental health needs it after 2024. I'm recovering. Let's say I'm recovering from that year. And then the book that I'm listening to on audio right now is, I mean, it's categorized as a thriller, but it's reading more as a family saga. It's called The Disappearance of Astrid, Bricard. And it is about a family of fashion designers throughout the decades, and it focuses on the inequalities between men and women in the fashion industry and the way that women designers don't get any credit and they're seen more as muses than they are as serious designers. And it just tracks this legacy of fashion designers through this one family. And so far it's been really interesting. It's been a little hard-hitting. One of the generations, like, she lives in Paris during World War II, which is really intense. And I wouldn't say it's a thriller, but it's definitely compelling and interesting. And I'm about 69% of the way through, so might be able to finish that today when I'm doing barn chores.
Maggie's New Year's Eve dress didn't fit her, so I put it on Cherry. And I can't tell, but I think she might like it. Or she's plotting my murder. Either way, she looks beautiful. Yeah, you look beautiful. Oh, girl. Yes, a good girl.
Hi, it is Thursday, January 2nd, heading back to work this morning, and I have my first fully caffeinated post-op coffee ready to go. First one since like November 15th. I've been drinking decaf, but first regular coffee. I made it a lovely iced coffee with some mocha protein. Cheers. I realized last night that I didn't let you know what book under 500 pages I'm reading. If you're new here, I rotate every other day, one book over 500 pages and one book under 500 pages as a way to manage my fear of reading big books. And it's worked for me. It worked for me all last year. And so I shared the big book is Legendborn. I took the dust jacket off here, but read it last night. I didn't quite get to my 100 page mark, but that's okay. And I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Having such a great time. I'm actually liking this more the second time around because I'm picking out little things that are like foreshadowing and stuff. Having a great time. I hope that you're reading it with me and we can chat about it. And then the book under 500 pages that I'm picking up is actually the Lovestead farmhouse cottage buddy read for the month, and it is Darkly by Marisha Pessl. Now the publisher did send me some merch for this, so I'll have to show you that later today. But this is a young adult dark academia thriller, and Marisha Pessl is one of my favorite authors. One of my favorite books of all time was written by her, Night Film. Let me read you what this one's supposedly about. I haven't started it yet. So it says, Arcadia Dia Gannon, so Dia is the character, has long been obsessed with Louisiana Veda, the game designer whose creations and company, Darkly, have gained a cult-like following. All right, Marisha Pessl does cult-like followings exquisitely. Night Film was all about this filmmaker that had like an underground cult following, and she did it so well. So this is promising. Dia is shocked when she's chosen for a highly coveted internship along with 6 other teenagers from around the world. Why her? Dia has never won anything in her life. Suspicious. Darkly, once a game-making empire renowned for its ingenious and utterly terrifying toys and games, now lies dormant after Veda's mysterious death. The remaining games are priced like rare works of art, with some fetching millions of dollars at auction. As Dia and her fellow interns delve into the heart of Darkly, they discover hidden symbols, buried clues, and a web of intrigue. But who are these teens and what secrets do they keep? Why were any of them really chosen? The answers lie within the labyrinth of Darkly, a chilling and addictive read. Okay, this is sounding similar to Night Film. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I've read her other books. So I've read Special Topics in Calamity Physics, which is an adult thriller. I've read Neverworld Wake, which was a young adult thriller. And I like her adult books better than I liked Neverworld Wake. And I liked Night Film better than I liked Special Topics and Calamity Physics, but Special Topics and Calamity Physics was still a 5-star read. It was still really good. Also a dark academic read. So, okay. I have really high expectations, and I feel like I need to tamp them down a little, because when your expectations are super high, you're bound to be disappointed. Okay, but yeah, I'm gonna start this today. it is Saturday, January 4th, and I do have a reading update for you. I finished The Disappearance of Astrid Bricard by Natasha Lester, and I ended up really liking this. So this is, I thought it was a thriller, I think, based on the title, but it's not really a thriller. It's more of a historical fiction. And it traces 3 women, and it starts with Mitza. And Mitza is living through World War II in Paris. And then Mitza's daughter Astrid is in the fashion industry in the 1970s, and Astrid's daughter Blythe is in the present day fashion industry. So all 3 of these women work in the fashion industry. And it's basically their family legacy and their family saga and everything that they deal with within that particular time period. It addresses some really major themes like motherhood, balancing work with relationships, with family. It talks a lot about inequality between men and women in the fashion industry, how women are seen more as muses, while the men are more like the serious designers. It also touches on postpartum depression. It really covers a lot of ground, a lot of history, and I think it does it really well. I liked Natasha's writing. I liked the character development. I really ended up feeling for these characters by the end. And I'm not usually a historical fiction reader. Like, I don't usually get into it very much, but I really got into this one. Mitza's story and the things that she does to survive World War II is interesting. I love the 1970s, that time period in general, and like the vibes. So the vibes of Astrid's timeline were just immaculate. And then seeing sort of the generational trauma that got passed down to Blythe, that was also just really good. So I'll definitely read more of Natasha's work. When I was looking at her other titles, it looks like she bases a lot of her stories in France, and I love France. I'm a francophile. I love anything francophone, and you know, I studied French. I lived in France very briefly, so I love books. Whenever there's anything francophone related in a book, I love that. And I was really excited to see that it looks like the majority of Natasha Lester's books are set in Paris. If not, they have some sort of French connection in them. And it also looks like they're all in the same universe, but they're not a series, but they sometimes will have like overlapping characters. So I would really like to read Natasha Lester's backlist if I can get my grubby little fingers on them through the library or elsewhere. And I gave this book 4.5 stars. And then the next audiobook that I picked up was for the Killing Time with Cozies Cozy Mystery Book Club. I don't think I talked about this in my TBR for the month. It just slipped my brain. But they do a monthly scavenger hunt. Instead of having like a book that everybody reads, they do a couple of prompts for the month, and then you find a cozy mystery that meets that prompt. So then you get the freedom to choose whatever you want, whatever series you're working on, and that kind of thing. And so this month's prompts were a book with blue on the cover, and then something that's new, like a new release, a new to you author, a new to you series to celebrate the new year. So I picked a book that covered both those prompts, and it was The Ghostly Grounds, Breakfast and Murder, I think, or maybe Murder and Breakfast. The cover's up here. And it's by Sophie Love. And I really enjoyed this. It's a new to me author and a new to me series, and there's blue on the cover. So this one is set at a bed and breakfast. It's a seaside bed and breakfast, and it's like a gothic mansion that the main character Marie inherits from her aunt. And supposedly it's haunted, and so she gets all of these bookings from people wanting to do ghost hunting at the bed and breakfast. And the unaliving that happens in this is really unique. It's not something I've ever read in any other mystery or cozy mystery or even thriller. So I loved that. Like it was very unique. And I liked the writing, I liked the characters. One thing to keep in mind with this one is that the unaliving doesn't happen until after the 50% mark. So some of my friends who read cozies prefer that that happens early on, so then you spend the rest of the book trying to solve the case. This one doesn't actually happen until about 50%, but I felt like it was still well paced, even though that was the case. I feel like we needed that first half to really establish the characters and the setting, and it worked for me. I really liked it. I gave it 3.5 stars, but as I sit here and talk to you about it, I think I might bump it up to 4 because I really enjoyed this, and I'm definitely going to read the next one in the series. And then the next audiobook that I'm picking up is The Brothers Hawthorne by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the 4th book in the Inheritance Game series, which is a YA thriller. And the main character is Avery. She inherits this billionaire's estate and she doesn't know who he is. So the whole series is basically figuring out, okay, why did Avery get this inheritance? Who is she to the family? And that kind of thing. And I don't really know what to expect with this 4th book, because to me, this series was finished at book 3. Like, everything came together, all the mysteries were solved, all the answers were had in that 3rd book. Like, the 3rd book felt like the conclusion, and I feel like that's where it could have and should have ended. So I really don't know what to expect in this one. And then there's a book after it. There's 5 books. So I don't know where Jennifer Lynn Barnes is going to go with the story at this point, and I'm only like 1 chapter in. I didn't get much of it read yesterday. So that's what I'm reading on audio. I don't have any other updates on books that I'm reading with my eyes or anything going on in my life. I do need to get to the craft store so that I can get some yarn and crochet my book cover granny squares, but I don't know when I'm actually going to be able to make it to the craft store. So that's the update.
This little girl got groomed today and she looks so pretty. And now she's enjoying the heated blanket and being a very good girl. You're a very good girl. Do you by chance want a treat? You do? Yeah, you are so good for your groom. Who is the fluffiest boy in all the land? It's Oliver. It's Oliver. Ollie boy is the fluffiest boy in all the land. Look at him.
Hello vlog. It is Saturday, January 10th, and I wanted to do a little reading update for you. I'm not reading as much as I wanted to read this year. It's been a little bit difficult going back to my normal. Things were so peaceful, like when I was recovering from having surgery, because I just had my full-time job and my family to take care of, and that was it. And now, oh boy, now we're back to honestly being overcommitted. So I'll be making some changes moving forward so that I'm not as overcommitted. I've got barn chores this weekend, paper grading this weekend. It's just, and like when it was just my job, my full-time job, and taking care of me and my family, my full-time job didn't stress me out at all. I was able to get my work done and I was able to do it happily and then have time to do the things that I enjoy and that fill my cup. And I realized this week that just because I'm someone who can function at a high capacity doesn't mean I need to be scheduled at capacity all the time. It just is not any way to live. Reading update. I am about, I want to say, not quite halfway through. I'm like 30%. Yeah, exactly 30% of the way through Darkly. And I love this. I am obsessed with it. The vibes are so cool. They're so gothic, mysterious, interesting. The characters are interesting. I feel like some of them are kind of leaning into some archetypes, and I don't love that. I'd like for characters to feel real rather than archetypical or stereotypical. But as we get to know them better, some of that is dissipating. And we're also getting this told to us from first person point of view through Dia's perspective. So we have to remember that this is how Dia is interpreting the other people that are in this internship with her. So being that she is a teenager, it's natural for her to kind of categorize the people that are around her. But the more time that we spend with these other characters, the more we're getting to see them as actual people. There have been some jaw-dropping moments. Like, jaw-dropping. Literally, as I read. There have been 2 specific moments in chapter 21 and then right away again in chapter 22. Both times I was like, as I was reading, and the person who was here with me on that day was like, what? I'm like, it's just my book. I love Marisha Pessl's brain. I like her ambiance. Like, her ambiance is my vibe. And I think that this really is like a YA version of night film. It's really feeling like that. But I love night film, so I'm loving this. I'm halfway through The Brothers Hawthorne, and the title of The Brothers Hawthorne, I think, is a play on other titles. We've got The Brothers Grimm, and then we've got The Brothers Karamazov by one of the famous Russians. I can't remember which one. So that dawned on me. I'm actually really enjoying The Brothers Hawthorne. I was skeptical about it because I didn't really know where Jennifer Lynn Barnes was going to go with this story after the 3rd book, because I felt like the 3rd book was the conclusion. I am enjoying this. It's from the perspective it's not from Avery's perspective. This is specifically from Grayson and Jameson's perspectives, and it's 3rd person limited from both of their points of view. So the POV has shifted to really focus on these 2 brothers in particular. And I think it would be neat to get the other brothers as well. I love Xander. I think Xander is adorable. It would be awesome if there was a 5th book from Xander and Nash's perspective, and then we'd have all the brothers covered. But this one specifically is Jameson and Grayson. And so Grayson has found some half-sisters of his, and that's like his story that he's talking about. And then Jameson's dad has contacted him, asked him to go into this underground gambling club in London. Super secret society, high stakes, heavy hitters, politicians, rich people, very powerful people involved in this underground gambling club. And it is super macabre and gothic and cool, and I'm loving that storyline with Jameson, just because this like secret society is so interesting and fun, and they're playing a game of riddles essentially, and like power plays with the person who runs this organization, because Jameson's dad has asked Jameson to do something for him within the organization. So he's got like a goal that he's working on, and Avery's going with him, and they're infiltrating the secret society. And it's so fun. It's so fun. I love that so much. And then Grayson's story is pretty interesting too, with his sisters, because we're getting to see kind of a deeper look at Jameson as a person, his thoughts and his feelings, which is fun. I like Jameson as a character, not Jameson, Grayson as a character. Grayson, I feel like, is someone who would fit in well with the Pretty Little Liars show. I feel like he would be part of the De Laurentiis group in some way, but I digress. Grayson is getting to know these sisters, and he's trying really hard not to care about them and failing. And it's getting into some interesting like healing for him and family dynamics and that kind of thing. So I am really enjoying this book. And again, I think it would be cool if we get another book from Nash and Xander's perspectives. There is another book after this, but I looked it up and it's short stories. So it's not a novel, it's just like a bunch of random short stories about various characters. I don't really like short stories, so I don't know that I will end up reading that. But so far, this last book is a fun time. I'm glad it exists. I don't think it has to exist for the series to feel well-rounded and done and completed, but I'm glad it does exist because it's fun. I'm enjoying it. I'm sorry if you're hearing like a buzzing. My computer is warming up. It is freezing. It's been so cold here in Iowa, which I love it, but my house is very prone to drafts because I have old windows that need to be replaced. I need to winterize them better, but my office got really cold overnight, so all of my electronics are like struggling to warm up. Anyway. Hello, it is Wednesday, January 15th. We are halfway through the month. And I feel like my vlogs, my monthly vlogs have been getting kind of long. So I'm going to split them up into 2 every month. But reading updates. I finished The Brothers Hawthorne and I loved it. I loved it. This book didn't have to exist, but I'm so glad that it does. And there's a new series Jennifer Lynn Barnes is putting out that branches off from this one that I'm really excited for. So I gave The Brothers Hawthorne 4.5 stars. I just thought it was so delicious and I loved it. I am halfway through Darkly and obsessed with it. Oh, the vibes. The vibes are so immaculate. The imagery is horrifying. It takes a lot for me to feel actual fear when reading a book, but once these kids get into the actual game piece of this story, the imagery is terrifying to me. Like, I felt scared as I was reading it last night. I felt thoroughly creeped out. Something about the way Marisha Pessl does this imagery is just, it's horrifying to me. And it definitely is giving night film vibes, but it's still its own unique piece. It just has that Marisha Pessl flavor that I love. Oh my gosh. I feel like Marisha and I could be good friends just based on our sensibilities, but I'm loving it so far. Today I have to read my big book because it's a Wednesday, but oh, I'm itching to get back into the Darkly world. It's so good. And then I did decide I'm going to start a vlog series where I focus on the trilogy alongs. If you have watched my Q1 activities at the Lovestead video, we're doing trilogy alongs all year. So I'm going to do specific vlogs for those trilogy alongs. And so with Legendborn, I think I will spare my commentary on Legendborn in this vlog, in the regular January vlog, and instead save it for the trilogy along specific vlogs, if that makes sense. So that is where we're leaving things in the first half of January. What have we done so far in January? We've gotten back to our regular schedule after being out of commission from surgery and been reading some stellar books. So if you just want to leave me an emoji to let me know that you're here, go ahead and leave me a tomato for all the tomatoes I'm going to be growing this year. And until next time, make sure that you continue to read good books, drink good coffee, take care of yourselves and each other. Bye.